Joining us now, a veteran of Silicon Valley who funded Sun Microsystems, Scott McNealy, joins us now. What are you doing? What's your latest venture?
Living the dream.
You are living the dream,
Absolutely.
and you're playing with your son, which is fun. And I didn't know. I saw he was 2 under, which was a really good score yesterday, and then 4-putted 18 to be finished even.
It was tough. Right? He's such a passionate and focused and determined guy. I didn't want to be around him.
Where did you get that, I wonder?
Yeah, he was great. He actually came out of the scoring tent and did a very nice interview with me. So he's a real class act.
So you sold your last company to Cheetah, and now what are you doing? What does CURRIKI do?
I'm in the .org world. I believe K-12 education needs to be fixed, and the best way to fix it, from my perspective, is to create a platform like we have iOS for mobile apps, and we have Linux and for enterprise apps. We need a platform for courseware to be developed, and it needs to be open and free and global. And we're building that platform in the development environment so you can build courseware that has AR and VR in it, has collaboration tools, has a chatbot and machine learning and AI and a data ocean that it informs, so that we can create really powerful next generation, think Khan on steroids kind of environment.
Like schools would do that on a school-by-school basis?
No,
just pick it up, or
parents, teachers, children, students, learners, the trades, churches, everybody would use this platform, sort of like everybody uses iOS or everybody uses Linux or everybody. And there's no one platform out there that's free and open that everybody can use for free, just out there on the internet, out there in the cloud. So we're going to build that platform. We've got some really great donors. My son's actually doing Birdies for Education. Go to birdiesforeducation.com. You can see what we're up to. You can read my blogs about being a PGA Tour daddy inside the ropes right now. I'm writing one every day, and people are donating. He's going to raise $1 million himself, I believe, this year, just for the CURRIKI effort.
People think tech is under assault from the government, yet the trillion-dollar companies keep coming in. Tech is flourishing. So you're an outspoken advocate for the private sector, and I think that you just say that the small government and a vibrant private sector bring the most wealth to the most people.
The scope creep in my lifetime for the federal government is absolutely stunning, and it's same and true in this state and local area. But when I was born, what's the federal budget this year? 4.7 trillion. Is that the number? I can't remember. It's three or four.
Large part of GDP.
$0.7 trillion. When I was born, the federal spending budget was $70 billion. Think about the scope creep and the massive growth in the government, and they're all monopolies. Everything the government does is a monopoly, and it's often an involuntarily taxpayer-funded monopoly, which makes it very, very difficult to deal with. And what you get is things like in Iowa, a little town like, I know it's not a town, a little town like Iowa, they can't even count the votes. It's, the government just isn't capable and functional and all the rest of it. I'm not an anarchist. I'm not saying we shouldn't have one State Department, one Defense Department, one law enforcement.
Well, maybe we should have a few charter schools or alternatives to what you call. What do you call? You don't call them public schools. You call them government schools.
Oh yeah, I heard that in the State of the Union.
The president is actually. Yeah, you think he got that from you?
I don't know.
But you have used that term in his presence.
I explained that to him, that I think they're government schools, and we should stop calling it public, because it isn't public. A monopoly is not public.
Hey, Scott, at the same time, you have a real demand from part of the country that wants to see things like universal health care, one system for all of these things. There are people who were interviewed in Iowa who said, look, I pay more for health care insurance than I do for my rent every month or for my mortgage every month. And that's where you get the pushback saying the private sector hasn't been up to snuff with that.
I think your health is the most valuable thing you have. It'll probably be the thing you spend the most money on. What is the phrase? Your health means everything to you, so that's going to be expensive. It's not free. I just think this free perspective is just one that we need to prioritize spending. I don't know, all 4 boys are incredibly we trained them to be personally responsible, and I said, have kids when you can afford them, and pay for your own kids, and get out there, get a job, build a financial wherewithal to support your kids, support them with education, support them with food, support them with a house, support them with education, support them with health care. And I just think if we had, the government is if it's really, really important, you don't want a monopoly to do it. Your health is really important. You don't want a government monopoly doing it. It's going to be, all monopolies are expensive, corrupt, and lack innovation. Yeah. I read the Antitrust Act. That's why we have the Sherman Antitrust Act. I studied it at Harvard. That's the problem. And we all know, and we all get all bent out of shape when there's somebody who approaches a monopoly, like a Google or whatever.
And Andrew, I'm sure this is not what you disagree with, but do you have a question?
Yeah, it's in this vein, though, which is, I don't know if you saw this, Scott. Bill Barr yesterday said that the Trump administration potentially thinks that effectively the U.S. government should try to buy Ericsson or Nokia. What do you make of that, given your strong feelings?
I don't think the government should be getting into telecommunications equipment. No, not at all.
Well, Bill Barr actually said it could be a conglomerate of U.S. companies that did it, not necessarily the government.
Well, I do believe this is a longer philosophical question, but I think our antitrust laws make it a criminal to be successful, and that's not good. So, like, I had a big challenge with Bill Gates. The guy was a brilliant businessman. He created a great monopoly. And we went after him, and we had a large settlement. But Bill Gates wasn't a criminal. The way I think you should treat a monopolist who in the private sector is like you would the Secretariat. I mean, this guy won all the races. We should not shoot the greyhound who catches the little bunny and drives the cart around the corner, and then all the other greyhounds to stop. Maybe we should have bought Microsoft and open sourced all the technology to every U.S. company and not hurt the shareholders. Right. Why would you hurt the shareholders of a company that creates massive power?
I think Bill Barr's point was more in the security vein. If we want to compete with Huawei, if we want to have American companies or American interest or Western interest doing that's why he would target those companies.
Law enforcement and security is, I think, a very, very important role. Protecting our rights. And a right is something you can give to everyone without taking from anyone. And I'm afraid health care isn't exactly something you can give to everyone without taking from anyone. So if there's something around security, I would definitely want the U.S. government to make sure that we are doing the right things as a nation.
All right. You think the economy under this administration's doing okay?
Yeah. Like I said, we were getting waterboarded. And
that's
the lack of the cutting back.
Did you foresee it getting reversed? You thought we were headed down the slippery slope there.
Yeah, I was surprised. I always said, and I think I said it on this show, that the world's worst CEO will be 1,000 times better than the best politician.
Right.
And I still believe that, and Trump is far and away not the worst CEO in the world.
All right, Scott McNealy, thank you. Good luck today. What time you go today?
We go today at Spyglass around 10:15, and it's really hard to sit in your son's office and watch him on TV cameras, and then have them analyze my swing on TV. That's embarrassing.
He turns away when you swing, right?
I try and hit when he's not looking.
Look over there. Isn't a deer? Well, Spyglass is the only course in the world where every hole's uphill. It's like walking to school both ways uphill.
Into the wind, into the grain.
It actually happens at Spyglass.
I almost went over the seawall on 18. I could see my ball down on the beach, but I thought my son would be embarrassed if I was crawling down the rock.
It's a crazy game, and it's sad when I can't wait to get back in front of a camera because I'm so, such bad things happen out there. Anyway, thank you.